What's up, book besties? Welcome to another episode of She's All Books, where we dive into the raddest reads that will totally blow your mind. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's chat all things books. Because life's too short for boring stories. Ready? Let's get this book party started. Hey, book besties! Welcome to this episode of She's All Books. Here with me today is author Dee Rollings. Dee, thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for us to chat. We have a couple books that we're going to talk about today on this episode. I know you have them behind you, and I can't wait for us to show those members of the audience who are watching and not just listening. And if you're listening and driving, you don't need to look right now. You can check them out later. But Dee has a series out. Do you want to tell, before we dive into the Paper Fortune Teller, do you want to talk a little bit about the books that you currently have published and some that are coming down the pipeline, if any? Which I already know the answer to this. And then we can dive deeper into the books with the Paper Fortune Teller.
Perfect. I love it. So I have the Pacifica Resort series. The first book is called A Liar and a Thief, and it takes place in a fictional resort in Santa Barbara, California. And we follow Lena and Reese, and it's a workplace romance. She has to break into his house to retrieve something that she forgot when she lived there as a child, and hilarity ensues. It's definitely a steamy rom-com, but there's a lot of witty banter and really strong female friendships. And then the second book in the series is called Love and Reservations. It follows the two best friends of the previous book, and it is enemies to lovers, or isn't. Close proximity, again, same close female friendships. And then there's the third book is coming out in May. It is called First Loves and Last Resort. And it is Reese from the first book, his sister. It kind of has like a how Stella got her groove back after a divorce. She has to go on a family reunion in Michigan and finds a really hunky guy on a ladder and thinks he might be what she needs. I also have a novella that is early in the works that is about one of the characters in the Pacifica, but I don't want to give it away of who it is because I've been having a ton of readers ask me, and so I'm kind of keeping it close to my heart still.
That is so exciting. I also love the concept of book one with like the breaking end. Like I have never seen like that premise of a book before, so that's so exciting.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard really great things. I try to keep a lot of humor in what I do.
Yes.
And then I have a standalone romantic thriller, Discordant Memories. It's a little friend. This was my first book. And fun fact is when I was writing it, I thought I was writing a contemporary romance. And then my editor got it and she was like, Dee, this is a thriller. And I was like, yeah, they fall in love. And she's like, that's not how that works. And so it's a romantic thriller. We don't know who she can trust.
Oh,
yeah. Amnesia, car accident.
okay.
Cool.
Awesome. Very exciting. So if you're watching or listening and you're able to comment, please let us know which of those books and tropes and genres strike your fancy and are ones that you want to add to your TBR. If you're watching or listening and you've already read some of Dee's books, let us know which ones in the comments so we can check it out. All right. So if you're new to the podcast and you're watching this for the first time or listening to this for the first time, if you're listening, it's going to be a hoot because you're going to hear me spell a lot of colors over and over again because I use the Paper Fortune Teller to guide the questions. And I'm not using it the traditional way of like, tell us our fortune. Does so-and-so like us? Yes, no, or maybe. And then using the Paper Fortune Teller like you probably did in grade school. Instead, what I'm doing is I have the questions linked to the numbers on the inside. So on the outside, we have the colors green, orange, pink, or purple. The inside has the 8 questions and the corresponding, 8 numbers and the corresponding questions to those. So I don't expect you to memorize any of these, Dee, and I will be writing down which numbers you choose because I will forget if not, and I'll start asking you the same thing over and over again. It's a lot to keep track of. So if you're driving, You're welcome. You get to listen to me spell these colors over and over again. And if you're watching,
hey book besties, Jordan here with a totally rad shopping alert that's all that. Remember making those perfectly curated mixtapes for your BFFs? Well, I've done the same thing, but with an amazing collection of bookish must-haves in my flagship shop. From aesthetic Bookstagram props to cozy self-care essentials, I've personally selected everything your bookish heart desires. It's like having your own personal shopping bestie who just gets you. Ready to treat yourself or find the perfect gift for your fellow romance reader? Head over to flagship.shop/she'sallbooks. Because shopping for bookish goodies should be as fun as a literary sleepover. That's flagship.shop/she'sallbooks, where every purchase supports your girl in this podcast. Later, besties.
same. Okay, so I will remind you of the colors each time. Don't feel pressured. But first round, purple, pink, orange, or green.
Purple is my favorite color. So we're going to start with purple.
There we go. And before we really dive in, I love your purple hair. And I
Thank you.
love the pink choker necklace you're wearing. You have your
I
90s.
watched an episode, right? And I watched one of your episodes and you brought up a pink choker and I was like, I actually have one. And I've got my color clips. I've got my friendship bracelets with the names of my characters. And then I even dug out an old Tupperware cup to drink in tonight.
Oh,
I'm
I love
ready
it.
to party.
Such a vibe. Such a literary sleepover. I am taken aback. Awesome. All right. So you said purple. So I will get us rolling. Purple. And your first choice of numbers is 1, 4, 5, or 8.
Let's go with 4.
4. All right. Question number 4 is, all right, what are 3 things that the audience might not know about you?
My favorite thing to write is a main character that is a giant because my husband is 17 inches taller than me. And so I basically come up to the middle of his chest. So I'm really, really tiny and he's really, really tall. That is just a fun mix. I built a tiny house in the woods a few years ago with my dad and my husband. We started with the shell and we have done all the work ourselves. And so I do most of my writing during the summer in the loft of our tiny house.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody goes outside and adventures. And then I lock myself up in the loft and no one's allowed to talk to me. And that's where I do my writing.
That is awesome.
And then
Very
number
cool.
3, thank you. Number 3, most people, if you follow me on Instagram, you probably know this, but if you don't, I am a racing instructor. I drive race cars and I teach people how to drive race cars. And basically, cars are my entire existence. And every single car that is in my stories is accurate. I own most of them.
Wow.
But yeah, I want to go fast. I want to adventure. I want to do all the things.
How did you get into cars? Like, how did you get into racing? Like, what introduced you to that?
So my dad used to race road courses when I was little.
Cool.
And so when it was like his night to like be the parent in charge, like I would get plopped in the driver's seat of the race car while he worked on it. If like mom had to work late or something, it was like me and dad with his race car. And then when I was old enough to start learning how to drive, he was like, the safest way for you to learn is to get out on a racetrack because then you learn how to get out of any situation. You have things that happen and you know how, like when your car spins, you need to learn how to get out of a spin because you never know if you're going to be in snow one day. And so it started from that and I've been racing since then. And I'm really involved with our local car club. And I also do things with the Porsche Club of America. So I can instruct from them and race with them too. So it's my jam. I've got a hot pink helmet and a purple driver's suit. So when I have race weekends, I post
I
a
love
lot
it.
about it
I love it.
on
And
Instagram.
I've seen posted things on Instagram related to cars and racing. I just had no idea the whole backstory. So that is so cool. Very neat.
Yeah.
Have you written yet, or do you plan to write like a racing book, like a romance book that would be like the genre of it?
So I do have, it was the first story I ever wrote, and it is locked in a drawer right now, but I have about half of it written, and then because it's my favorite thing, I'm like, I have to do this well.
Yeah.
Because
A
I
lot of
like
pressure.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, like everyone who knows me personally is going to be like, oh no, this has to be completely accurate or she can't do it. So I do have a story. It's really juicy. It's enemies to lovers, second chance romance. But yeah, I don't know when I'm going to do it. I have several friends that have read pages and they're like, you have to finish this book. But I don't know.
That is
We'll just,
awesome.
when
Very
it's
exciting.
time.
Yeah. When it's the right time, we'll all know that you probably spent so much time putting detail in it. We'll all know the thought that went into that book. That is exciting. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. And let me ask you all those follow-up questions. Okay. Pink, purple, green, or orange?
Let's go with green.
Did you say green?
Green. Sorry.
Green? No,
Let's go with green.
it's my HVAC unit came on. It has the best timing ever. Okay. Green. I actually need to do this part. REEN. 1, 5, or 8 is left in this cluster.
Let's do.
All right. Question number 5 is, of all of the books that you've written, which one has been your favorite tropes to write? And then a follow-up question to that is, what are your favorite tropes to read?
Ooh. I'm a really big fan of writing insta-love. And I know a lot of people don't love insta-love, but like I was on my second date with my husband and I looked at him before the date even started and I was like, I'm going to marry him and be with him forever. So I think like insta-love to me like is one of those like when you know, it's very dramatic and visceral. And I really love writing insta-love. When I love reading though, I really love fake dating. Like, oh my gosh, give me all the will they, won't they's.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. It's exciting. Okay. So do you have, I'm trying to think, like an author that you follow that usually like writes about that trope? Or is it like you'll just read any author that writes that trope?
I'm obsessed with Christina Lauren.
Yes.
So anything they write is so delicious.
Yeah.
And then Allie Hazelwood, science is like my second love. My brother is a physicist, so like we were raised in a scientist household.
Yeah.
So anything that can be like STEMinist, anything like that, those are my two go-to like auto-buy authors. I got to meet them a year or two ago. They had a thing here in town where they did a book panel. And so I got to meet them and I just was like shaking and crying the entire time. I was like, oh my gosh, it's your heroes. I'm meeting my heroes.
You're probably like me. That was crazy. Yeah.
Oh, it was cool. But yeah, no, I just love the way with both sets of writers, with Christina Lauren and with Ellie Hazelwood, how they can take that emotion, but then also like switch from it being raw and real, and then you're laughing, and then it goes back to like you're thinking, and it's deep, and it really, everything feels realistic, and that's what I love so much about their work.
That's true. And I feel like you always, or at least I don't know, I feel like a lot of people I talk to, once you kind of find like a trope that is like your go-to like insta read trope, you kind of stick with the same authors, and it's always interesting to hear like people's go-to insta click authors.
Right?
All right. Orange, purple, pink, or green? Pink. All right. PINK. Wow, we just keep landing on the same cluster. So 1 or 8?
Let's do 1.
Number 1. All right, so I want to hear a little bit about your writing process. So when you are going to start writing a book, how do you initiate the writing process? Are you a plotter? Are you a planner? Like, how does that look like for you when you're writing a book? And then how long does it typically take you to write a book? Obviously, the one that you've been working on for years might be the outlier, but what your typical books, how does that look?
It's so interesting because my first two books, Discordant Memories and A Liar and a Thief, came to me in dreams. So did I Can't Untitled Race Car book. It has a title, but I don't want to share it. They came to me in dreams. And so it's crazy. All the characters were there, all the names, like most of the plot. Like I'm a very vivid dreamer. When I am sleeping, I'm kind of an insomniac. So when I am sleeping, like I get an entire movie while I'm asleep. And it was wild because like the dream for A Liar and a Thief, like I still remember like climbing over a fence and like running through a field as part of the dream. So a lot of times I just kind of, when a story hits me that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to jot this down, I'll jot it into a notebook. And then if it just like keeps coming back to me, then I start outlining. And so then I'm like, okay, this needs to get a little bit deeper. This needs to be a little bit more developed. And so I'm not 100% a plotter. I'll go through, like, I'll use like Romancing the Beach. I love Saves the Cat, all that stuff. So I'll go through that. But a lot of times I will write kind of an outline, and then I'll have a bunch of spots that say like stuff happens.
Yeah.
And then as I'm writing, then I'm like, oh, they're at a party right now. Okay.
That is so funny.
Love and Reservation is my only book that I actually wrote an outline for. That it was a story that I hadn't come up with in my brain subconsciously.
Right.
So that's the only one that wasn't. But then the story that is going through betas right now, First Loves and Last Resorts, we actually went on a family vacation. And as we were there, I was like, this could be a premise for a really cool story. So I try to involve a lot of stuff that I've done, a lot of places. The places that happen in the stories are places I've been. We got married in Santa Barbara on the beach. And so to have a resort that specializes in weddings in Santa Barbara on the beach was kind of like, that's the place for it. And then in Discordant Memories, she travels across the country, and every place that she travels to, like, I've been. So I wanted to make sure that I'm describing places that for sure like are realistic and you could put yourself inside of them.
That is so cool. And I'm such a visual person. I don't write, but I feel like if I were an author, I would be the person who I can visualize what I'm seeing, and like it takes its own life kind of thing. And it's interesting because like I never thought about like, oh, I have vivid dreams also, but I do. And I think it all kind of centers around being so visual. I have a follow-up question. I have a lot of follow-up questions. This is why the paper fortune teller is just a prop. My other follow-up question to that is when you're writing character dialogue, so like when the characters are having conversation and like banter and different things, are you like visualizing that conversation happening? Are you hearing it? Are you like kind of like, I always say like watching it on TV in your brain? Like, are you like actually seeing it play out as you're writing it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like it's a full movie reel.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so fun though, because like sometimes I'll be sitting and it happens like at the weirdest places, like in the waiting room at the doctor's office, or like when I'm like getting my oil changed and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just had the best idea for like a fight scene, like an argument. And then I'll sit there and I'm like, he said like I feel like I end up getting like animated into it, and like these people think I'm a lunatic sitting here at Jiffy Lube being like, no,
that is
I can't talk to you like that.
I love that. That is hysterical. And when I read, I'm that way. Like I'm seeing it play out like in my head very vividly, which is why when I do like book edits and stuff, I'm very particular about what pictures I'm using, because it has to kind of like match as close as I can to what I saw and what I was like visualizing in my head while reading the book. And I always am like, oh, I hope that matches like what the authors actually visualized and saw in their head. But it's always like a movie, like you said, like you're actually like seeing something as you're reading or writing. So it's really cool to hear about. Thanks for letting me ask all those follow-up questions.
I
All
love
right. Orange, green, pink, or purple?
it. Let's do orange.
Orange. Oh, we have new numbers. 2, 3, 6, or 7.
Let's do 6.
Question number 6. All right. Can you describe your ideal book boyfriend?
My ideal book boyfriend is 6'4". He has a beard. He can carry me anywhere he needs to go. He is funny and kind and loves baking. Written him yet, but I have a lot of my male characters in my books have very, very similar qualities. And I've heard that from a lot of my readers. My mother-in-law actually read Discordant Memories and was like, this book's just about my son.
That is so funny.
Like,
oh, you caught on.
But yeah, so I have like Sal in Love and Reservations is a chef, and so his like love language is food. And then we have Reese, and he's got in Liar and a Thief, he has a past and he's working through it. So he's like reflective as a person. And I can't really talk so much about the male main character. I can never say that correctly.
I know.
The male main character, right, of Discordant Memories, because he's a mystery. But he's artistic and kind and caring. And I'm like, just give me the dude that's going to take care of her.
Yes, exactly. I love it. All right. I'm the same. I love the male main characters who are like 6 foot something. Like those are always like what I'm looking for as well. All right. Pink, green, orange, or purple?
Let's go back with purple.
Purple. All right. PURPLE. We're back to the old cluster because I'm probably holding it differently. Oops. Would you like to answer question number 8?
Yes, let's do it.
Now we get to fudge it if we land on those numbers again. All right. Question number 8. What can you tell readers about book 3 in the Pacifica Resort series, which is First Loves and Last Resorts? Right. Okay. I'm like, did I switch it? No, that was right. First Loves and
Last Resort.
And that comes out in May.
Yes.
We're
May 27th.
We'll be here before we know it.
Right? Oh my goodness. So we are in First Loves and Last Resorts. We are following Lizette. She is the CEO of the Howell Group. She owns billions of dollars in real estate across the country. And we start with a phone call from her ex-husband. They've been divorced for a little while now. And they get a phone call she gets a phone call from him, and he is asking her to go on one last family reunion with him. And she says, well, why don't you bring your boyfriend? Because they split up because he realized that he was gay. And so she is dealing with having to figure out what the last 15 years of her life meant to her and who she is as a person, since they've been together since college first started. And so she's really trying to figure out what her identity is. And so she agrees because he's still a friend. She still loves him as a friend, and they're still working through their issues. And they get to Michigan, where his mother has chosen their family reunion. And she finds out that his brother is running for Senate. So they have to pretend to still be in love, even though she is starting to have feelings for the handyman at the resort. So yeah, with encouragement from the family members that do know, she is pushed into the arms of the blonde hunk with a British accent. And then we find out that he might be keeping some secrets too.
Also, so many twists. There's lots of twists. I love that. Keep us on our toes. Yes.
Right?
That is very exciting. Awesome. If you're watching or listening, let us know what you think. And if you're adding this to your TBR. All right. Purple, orange,
Oh,
pink.
it's available for pre-order ebook already on Amazon.
Perfect.
So if it sounds juicy, it's available for pre-order.
Go ahead and pre-order it. And I'm going to make sure the link is in the caption, so it's a quick click and you'll be connected with it. That's awesome. Good to know. Thank you for flagging that. Orange, green, pink, or purple?
Let's do pink.
Pink. All right. PINK. And I have to fudge it. We have questions 2, 3, or 7 left?
Lucky number 7. Let's do
Lucky
it.
number 7. Here we go. All right. Question number 7 is, do you have a favorite scene that you have written in one of the already published Pacifica Resort books?
Oh, that's such a tough question. I have a couple of scenes that I love, but there is one that comes up, like the first one that pops in my head. In Discordant Memories, Katrina has lost all of her memories of the last 6 months, and her boyfriend, Danny, comes and picks her up from the hospital, and they take a road trip home in hopes to kind of jog some of her memories. And while she is with Danny, she gets a memory of a man coming out of the bathroom in a towel and asking her a couple of very interesting questions. And so then she is thrown into a loop of, oh my gosh, what have I done? And she has to then start piecing information back to this memory that she has of this stranger.
That is so funny. I love it. I can't wait to read that book. That is perfect. I was just telling, for those listening or watching, I was just telling Dee before we started recording that a friend of mine, Nora Reads and Rambles, we were looking for a romantic thriller. Yes. I keep wanting to say a romantic suspense. I don't know. To read. And we were talking about starting this book, so I'm really excited to get to chat a little bit about it, and Dee's being so kind to not giving away any spoiler alert. But yes, that sounds amazing and sounds kind of funny that she has that memory. So very cool. That'd be a fun scene to write, like having to go into like her thought process, like remembering that.
It was really cool. I wrote a lot of the flashback sequences first.
Okay.
And so I wrote them as their own scene. And then I wrote the other part. So I wrote it as 2 different stories.
Wow.
And then I went through and weaved them in together to see if like, okay, what can I share here that's not going to give too much away? Like, what can I share here? And so unfortunately, there's a lot on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Which I think one day I'm going to start releasing as like deleted scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was originally written as 2 different stories that I then weaved together.
That is so neat. I'm intrigued. Can't wait to start. All right. Green, orange, pink, or purple?
Let's do green.
Green. All right. Green. You have 2 left. Would you like to answer question 2 or 3?
Let's do 2.
All right. Question number 2. What is your favorite part about the Bookstagram community?
Oh my goodness. My favorite part is just meeting new people and just finding people that love what I love.
Yes.
I was the kid in 7th grade reading Vampire Diaries in the back seat of the school bus. And I had one friend that would read books with me. And so, and we were at the time living in a pretty small community, and there was nobody else that wanted to sit quietly on a sleepover and read books next to each other. So having somebody like that I can literally slide into anybody's DMs, or they can slide into mine and be like, oh my gosh, have you read this? Or like if you post a story and somebody replies to you and is like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite. Just knowing that connection and just the relationships are like unlike any other I've ever had.
I agree. It's so fun, and to be able to like bounce like recommendations off of each other, like you said, and like to be able to like chat about things. It's a lot of fun to connect. Right? And sometimes you'll like read a book and then you'll start fangirling over the book, and somebody else who also is like obsessed with the book will be like, oh my gosh, somebody I can talk to about it. And the next thing you know, you're like Insta friends.
Right? It's crazy. I've got a couple of friends that I write with, and one of the writers one day I mentioned something and she was like, wait, you're the Dee Rollings? And I was like, I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, oh my God. And now she's one of my best friends. And so it's crazy to me, like just getting to know people. Shout out Katie O'Neill. You should read her book. It just came out. It's so good.
I love it. That is awesome. It's fun as a reader, for sure. I always love to hear about like the author experiences because it's like, you think back to like, for example, the 90s where like I'm channeling for this podcast, and like back then you'd read a book and your chance of ever being able to chat with or converse with an author about the book that they wrote was like so minimal. Like it's like, oh, here, you could write this PO box and like maybe they'll get it. But you really didn't have authors at your fingertips or in your phone that you could like actually like slide into their DMs, and there's a high chance that they might see what you're saying about how much you love their book. Like that was just never like a thing. So
Right?
it is cool to think about like how we have that opportunity to connect so closely, and then as an author to be able to actually like connect closely with like readers who love your books and to get that feedback and everything. It's really a cool situation to be in.
Right? It's just
Yeah.
like the connection. It's like a spider web of like, I don't know, amazingness. Glittery
Yeah,
spider web.
it's great and so connected, like you said. And then even if you're a reader and you are not at all interested in like making a Bookstagram account, if you just like start following some Bookstagrammers, start with like following your favorite authors. If they repost Bookstagrammers accounts, like that's how I got into it. But even if you don't want to get into it, that's how I got like a whole bunch of recommendations before I ever opened a Bookstagram account. Was like I started following the indie authors I loved, and as they would repost stuff, I would start to find other indie authors I loved and other people who would give recommendations out and stuff. So it is a really cool way to get those, because sometimes I feel like you get shuffled a lot of the same recs over and over again through like the algorithm of other sites and things. But Bookstagram's really good for that. Like even if you don't want to be a Bookstagrammer, it's really good to like get like genuine recommendations.
And I think it's really cool that like a lot of us use like we'll put our tropes in our hashtags.
Yes.
And so if it's like things that you're like, okay, I really love Enemies to Lover, like you can click it and there's hundreds of books. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to read all of these.
So many. Exactly. I love it. And it's so cool that you can just like easily, like you said, find that. And the next thing you know, the algorithm will start to post those people in your FYP. So,
right?
Well, thanks. If you love reading, come over to the dark side. And even if you're just watching from your own house, it's fun to get those recommendations. Yeah. Okay, last one. I hope we get question number 3. Let's see. Pink, purple, green, or orange?
Orange.
Orange. All right. Orange. Would you like to answer question number 3?
Would love to answer question number 3.
Thank you. Thank you for entertaining me. Thank you for filling my bucket with the paper fortune teller. All right, question number 3. Do you have any, I'm going to say, quirky rituals when you're writing? Like, do you drink the same beverage? Do you wear the same blanket? I don't know. Like, do you have any rituals while you're writing?
So I think it's different from where I am, because in the summer we're in the tiny house, and so I do my writing up there. And so I have a box of Red Hot, and I have a cozy blanket and a big fluffy pillow behind me. And so I do that. When I'm home, I write right here. This is my spot, and I'm on a standing desk. So if I can stand and I can sit, so like I need the movement. And half the time, like I always have music in my ears. I have a playlist on Spotify for every book I've written. So if you have Spotify, you can actually look up my playlist of the songs that I write to. But I put the playlist in, and I like will be dancing and I'm grooving, and people will come into the house and like, sorry, I'm writing. And they're like, it doesn't look like you're writing. I'm like, well, I am. It's real.
That is so funny. I love it. That is cool. I love Red Hots too. I don't meet many people who love Red Hots. They're so good. Yeah.
They're so hard to find. So sometimes like if like I'll find them at like Walgreens, and like I'm buying 6 boxes because
that's where I find them here. There's like a Walgreens across from my house, and that's where I get my Red Hots. And in the fall, I always make this like spice. Well, it's spiked apple cider, where you put like apple cider in a pot, you heat it up, you add some Red Hots, and then the Fireball.
I think we had similar moms.
Yes. And my mom did it my whole life growing up with her friends, and I was like, oh my god, so good.
In the crock pot all day, every day.
All day, and the smell smells so good.
It's
and
my favorite smell.
All the time. In fact, my family just came in town and they saw the Red Hots and they're like, oh, you know what you've been drinking? And I'm like,
yeah, she would make a separate pot for us kids so that we could, and we had like she was a Tupperware sales girl, which is why we still have all the and like we had our little Tupperware mugs and we felt like little grown-ups.
I love it. I love that. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to collaborate with Afternoon Delight. They are a coffee roast company that has coffee flavors that you can choose from that correspond with romance tropes. I chose the Forced Proximity blend. I'm just so excited to share this with you. They've given me and my followers a 10% discount. All you have to do is enter She's All Books at the checkout and you'll get 10% off your order. And you have so many flavors to choose from because what romance lover doesn't want romance blended coffee? But I'm so excited. I'm gonna make a cup now. Oh my God, it smells so good. Oh my God, this is so good. It tastes like the perfect balance of like flavor and coffee, so it's not like overpowering with the caramel and coffee, the chocolate and caramel notes, but it's there and it's exactly what I needed this morning. Okay, besties, let me know which of these tropes you would choose from Afternoon Delight in the comments. Okay, well, we're done with the paper fortune teller segment and now we are at the final segment of the show where you get to pick a millennial nostalgic game for us to play, and my watch thinks I'm talking to it, which is weird because I didn't say anything that sounded like that word. So the options for you to choose from are Truth or Dare, Never Have I Ever, MASH, Two Truths and a Lie, or Would You Rather?
Ooh, let's MASH.
I love MASH. I love MASH. So it's going to have a bookish twist to it. So it's going to be a little bit different than the MASH we played growing up, but similar nonetheless. So for those of you who are confused, and I say that I would have never said that before because I thought everybody played MASH when they were in grade school. But the last two authors I interviewed on live had no idea what I was talking about when it came time for MASH.
Maybe they weren't born in the 80s.
Maybe. I don't know. I was unsure. And so MASH, the MASH, stands for Mansion, Apartment, Shack, or House. And this was like a game that I would play in the lunchroom all the time, but when you're younger. And you would kind of predict your future. Like, what was your husband's name going to be? And you'd pick like your crushes. What was their job going to be? How many kids? And blah, blah, blah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick, and then the part I always forget to explain is, so since I will be asking Dee these questions, she's going to pick 2 for each category and I'll pick 1. I think growing up it was like 3 and 1. I don't know. But we're going to do 2 and 1. For example, like the number of kids. I just remember like if I were the person writing and I was asking you the questions, I'd put like 16 kids. Ha ha ha.
You have to put
Yeah, exactly. Just to give you an idea of like the maturity level of everyone who is playing this. So the first category is, so the bookish twist piece. I'm doing a really good job at explaining this tonight. The bookish twist is going to be, this will be your next plot for your next book, for your next bestseller. So if that gives you any idea of like which direction you want to take these answers. So
what you're saying is I need to get a pen so I can jot this down.
For your MMC, you have to pick 2 names. I'll pick the third name.
2 names. Let's go with, I'm all out of names right now. Let's go with Adam.
Okay.
And Ben.
All right. And then I will say Kyle. All right. For your FMC, which by the way, if you're watching this and you're not thick into the ways of Bookstagram, MMC is male main character, FMC is female main character. Some books might have 2 MMCs or 2 FMCs. It's just however you want to take it. So FMC, pick 2 names.
Jenny with an IE.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
For the listeners, Jenny, and let's do Ashley, but ASHLEIGH. And there could be
Oh,
like a whole funny
okay.
thing about how she gets so frustrated that people spell it wrong all the time and it's not her fault.
She was definitely born in the is because that was a very popular name. I will put Jordan. And then the next category is the MMC's career.
Ooh. Billionaire.
Okay.
So he's just a playboy. He hangs out on a boat all the time.
Yeah, give me that.
And then, let's swap it to a professional fisherman in Alaska. So he's also on a boat all the time, but like not by his choice.
Working.
Yeah, he's working on the boat.
All I can think about is Deadliest Catch right now. And then
But with kissing.
Yes, but make it cute. So I will say this is hard. I'm gonna cheese. It shouldn't be as hard. I'm just gonna put college professor.
Mm.
I know.
Ooh,
Who wears
tweed
glasses
jacket.
when he teaches?
Yes, yes. But maybe he takes them off when he's like at the bar later, so she doesn't recognize him fully.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
great.
we're gonna do something with this.
Okay, number of kids.
2.
2.
And then 1, because you can travel best with 1. There's 3
Yeah.
seats on an airplane.
I put 0. Doesn't mean they won't ever have kids, just maybe not in this book, first book of the series.
Right?
And then the last oh wait, I skipped her career. Okay, what is the FMC's career?
Ooh, she's a seamstress.
Okay.
She makes, yeah, she's got to make, but she works for like a designer that's really mean to her.
I was gonna ask if she was the seamstress for the band, but no. Not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elton John?
I know.
Let's see, another job. Ooh, she's a mechanic.
Yes. I'm gonna do hairdresser. Is that the right term? Or is that the preferred term for somebody who does hair?
Hair stylist? Hairdresser?
Hairstylist.
Oh.
Thank you. Hairstylist. See, this will air at 6 a.m. one day. But at this time of night, we're not filming at 6 a.m., people.
No.
My brain is not functioning on all cylinders. We get there. We get where we need to get.
It's been a long weekend.
And it is about to be a crazy week. So, tropes. Now you get to pick 2 tropes, and I get to pick a.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna pick one I haven't ever written before because I don't know if I could. Brother's best friend.
Okay.
And then, we'll do like an actual second chance, like high school sweetheart second chance romance.
Second chance romance is like my fave. Okay. And then I'm gonna put you either love or hate second chance romance. I love. And then another one that you either love or hate that I love is surprise pregnancy.
Ooh, that's my least favorite.
I know, and that's what everyone says. And I'm like, give me all of
Such a polarizing subject.
it. Is that okay? So my favorite 3 tropes that my always insta-click tropes are like the most controversial tropes, and those are surprise pregnancy, second chance romance, and miscommunication trope.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I like the miscommunication one though. If it's done well.
Yes.
And that's like shout out to Love and Reservations. Like if it's done in a way where you're like, shoot, no, they're both big old dummies.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on.
Yeah. They're like, oh no, it wasn't a legit miss. If it's a legit one, if it's not like, I don't know. I heard him pronounce the name wrong.
Yeah. No. So this is the part of MASH where I'm going to start drawing a spiral. Ooh. There's scientific reasoning behind this, folks. If you've never played MASH before, this is what determines the fate of this new book that's going to be a bestseller. Depending on how many points of intersection in this spiral, that is how I slash until we get our results. So this is very important. So I'm going to tell you when I start, and you're going to tell me when to stop. It's very mathematical. This is like for all of you science gurus out there, you can do your studies on this. So
There's
I will,
many published studies.
all research based. Yep. All right. I'm starting now. Just tell me when to stop.
Okay.
A super straight line that goes through, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so
My
here
guess was 10. We're close.
I am educating the youth right now. Okay, so 7. So I'm going to start counting and slashing. While I'm doing this, can you chat a little bit more about your books? Let people know what they can look forward to, and I will do this as quickly as possible. I just can't talk while I do it. It gets really messy.
It's hard to count. It's hard to count and talk. All right, my friends. Well, one of the things that I really feel is important to know about A Liar and a Thief, about Reese and Lena, is that Reese is a recovering addict. And I felt that it was really important to have that kind of representation because in a lot of romance novels, or even a lot of novels in general, when you have an addict, it's somebody that's the villain, that's the antagonist, that's the person that causes all of the problems. And I felt it was really important to take someone that had problems, that is, working through their problems every single day, and still get the love that they deserve, and still has a life that they deserve, and gets to be the person that saves the other person. We go through Lena. Her job is about to be lost, and she's not sure what she wants to do with her life. And so then we have Reese that comes in, and in any other situation, he might be like the scumbag in the story. And I thought it was really important to show that every single person is battling demons, and it's really important that, like, he might be really cute and drive a Porsche too.
Yeah. I love that. Awesome. I think that's really my favorite characters are always like those relatable characters, like the ones who are not super perfect or formula, like the perfectly imperfect characters. They're always
Yeah.
become so drawn to, and I love when you have like a bit of that imperfection to you, because we all are. I mean, that is like we all have our imperfections, like you said, our demons. Like that is just who we are. No one's perfect, so it's always fun to read those characters. In addition to when we treat ourselves to the billionaires that have the maid and the driver and all those things, but it's
right,
fun
that
to.
one's coming.
That
one's coming in the series too.
Sides of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I have our results for the next bestseller. So I will start with our MMC. His name is,
Ooh.
and our FMC is named Jordan, which I never get my name chosen when I do that on MASH. I'm very excited about this. MMC's career is a college professor. The FMC's career is a mechanic. Maybe like his car breaks down on the way to like teach, and she's a student.
Oh my gosh. He drives a Volvo station wagon.
Yeah. And she's like a student who's like working as a mechanic because she knows everything about being a mechanic, and is paying her way through college. That I don't know. I just,
oh my gosh, Jordan! I'm like,
number of kids 0, so there's no kids involved with at least book 1, and then the trope is surprise pregnancy.
Okay, we can make this work somehow.
We work with it. We work with it.
It's not pregnancy. Maybe she had a lot of beer.
It's not pregnant. Yeah, exactly. And then the apartment. So
they live in an apartment. Maybe it's a really nice professor apartment.
Blurry. I hate when it gets blurry like that. Why are you doing that to me? That works. Yay! So here you go. I will just require an arc read for that, so I can smile the whole time I read it.
Right, Jordan, who thought she was pregnant, but it was gas.
And Chipotle that she had for lunch earlier that day, so no worries. Yeah.
But now the professor is going to drive her around in his Volvo that works now.
Yes, that she fixed. Thank God. Thank goodness for her, because he would have been late to class. Yes.
Exactly.
I'm excited. This sounds like a great, great book talk viral book. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, New York Times bestseller on every billboard in LA.
Well, when it does release, I want you to come back on the podcast. No, but seriously, I want you to come back when book 3 comes out in May, whenever, because I had so much fun and there's so many more questions that I still want to ask you. I just feel like I could have gone on and on and on all night.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I am down whenever.
Perfect. I'm serious. I will bother you about that. I am going to drop links in the captions for the viewers or listeners to be able to quickly click and connect with you, find your books, find those pre-orders we talked about. But just as like a overview, where can readers follow you, connect with you, get updates from you, and your book?
I am on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Instagram all the time. That's my main. I post stuff in Instagram and send it to Facebook. So Instagram's my thing. I also have a website, DeeRollingsBooks.com, and that way, right at the top of the website, you can sign up for my newsletter. I send a newsletter once a month. I put a lot of pictures of race cars, and we went to Disneyland over the summer, and I posted some pictures of Disneyland in my newsletter. So I just try to keep it short and sweet and like, here's what I'm working on, but here's some other stuff too.
I love it.
But yeah, I love hearing from readers. It's one of my favorite things. So you can shoot me an email from my website, or you can send me a DM on Instagram. If you send it on Facebook, I might not see it for a little bit. But yeah, I'm around.
Exciting. So like I said, we'll put the links in the caption so you can quickly click and connect with Dee Rollings. But thank you again for joining me, and I hope that everyone watching found at least one of Dee's books that they're going to quickly go and download and read. And let us know in the comments, or come back and report back when you're done reading it. But thank you again for joining me. I can't wait for us to talk again soon. I'm going to go ahead and start manifesting that. I can't wait for this next bestseller with the not so pregnant trope, and it's going to be a blast. So thank you so much.
Jordan and Adam are going to be in so much love.
They're in so much love. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dee, and I will see you later, book besties. Have a great day. Bye.
All right, book besties, that's a wrap on this totally rad episode of She's All Books. If you're digging this vibe, don't be a square. Smash that subscribe button faster than you can say as if. Want to keep the convo going? Hit me up on social media at She's All Books. Drop a comment, share your fave book, or tell me what you want to hear next. I'm all ears. And hey, if you thought this episode was all that, spread the word. Tell your besties, your mom, even that cute barista at the local coffee shop. The more, the merrier. Stay tuned for the next episode, dropping Mondays at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a blast. Until then, keep it real and keep on reading. See ya!